go try it. Go kgang e leng gore ke batla gore re tshware ya money language. Now we're bringing it to couples because you know the statistic that talks about divorce. 80% of divorces is issues that might. It's not just mobile it's across the board. And so clearly there's a disconnect between the way I view money and the way my partner views it. And that brings tension. And then go helong gara pero rata go na spend that money. And I mo no na ga be we lang e be kgaogana ka moso but we didn't understand. And so there's that. There's also, it speaks to also temperaments. It speaks to also even just our money blueprints. So kindly walk us through some of those, like the money languages that we have as individuals and even as couples, and how to be able to run through this, because I know for sure this is something that you do consulting at the couple.
So in the case background, everyone has come from a background, and most of us 70% come from what I call middle income families or even below. So such things and the household that the other household that has money won't use. You know, I remember the first time I heard the word loan was from my brother complaining that certain bank. So I was asking him, why loan is and I'm like, okay, why we are so I'm like, I'm still I don't know. So you see the conversations that loan is a bad thing.
And the emotion attached to
you
it.
You get what I'm getting as a child. I may not tell you. It's just when I'm old, I'm like, hey. So now to me, it reset as a lesson. Oh no, this is bad. I shouldn't let this. And one time we were playing Bolumo Patelo. So there was one I forgot the name.
Hey, as a base.
Obviously Carnival. Yes. So one of our friends the sofa Frizzy TV. So I get mozzarella hudu. I get hudu. I think I was like 10, 12 there. Ala hudu no. Mama, ba isa ka TV. I mean, what le di papa. Mama, ba tlogale ba etse. Raise the conversation. So I not tabule go ba hudugela kae. Our friend o tsama sa re laela. Kante furniture tlo go tsama ene ga gone motsadi ga kgona go duela. Now, ngwana ha tswa go wa re ba no TV tsele di tsero ke batho a re tlotlela di tsero ke batho ba furniture she hates the furniture shop. She doesn't like it. I told mama never to buy that thing. She doesn't like those people. So now I'm old now. I understand. So this thing caused the child a pain because of a certain financial decision of a parent to hate this thing. Because of what? A bad financial decision not to pay an obligation. It's a family setup. Another thing, there's school family and what they are well off. They are taught school to see. I want to buy a plot, buy a mattress, make sure that the rental is above the monthly installment. Once we do that, we use that one as a security, buy another one. Another one is told the debt is bad. So you see this
run away from it.
We go into the field, we work. I find the girl, hi, how are you? I love you, let's get married. Now, she has a mindset that debt is okay. I have a mindset that debt is wrong.
It's demons. I know people call it demons.
So we meet, we get married, we need to create wealth. Now I know because it's others is even painful that your parent will go to jail. Others even painful that you see them when they are happy, they sell everything about who do lifestyle. You know, even these things, this was already they affect the band. But number 3 betting how you listen to go to not
even the private school,
because of cut the cost. I get and then you see that you are affecting the psychological, mentally, emotionally, lifestyle because you have lived a life beyond your means and you are able to sustain it. As a family, you are affecting those people from where they are from, especially the age of 6 to 12. It's a mindset they learn through observation, listening, hearing, Kore ha lebella o tsa lesson ka go bona so se dira. That's why they always tell you gore don't tell them what to do, do what you want them to do. They learn by action.
Yeah, they model.
So they model. You need to model it up for them. So you tell gore do tse dintse dira gore bana ba itlhale gore do mo family. So you go to couples. The couple like a different background. I'm a saver, she's a spender, or that's school. Those are two characters. We need to sit down and agree. Or no, that's school. Schools are the Rangasone, Saurotola Ravoid, Ajandu, the Camara, so there is a need for every couple to go for financial counseling. Let's sit down and understand our behaviors and patterns and wena mo tlola ka o tsaba skota o se tsaba o dole baka la gore why se tsaba. There is a reason why o se rata. There is a reason. So we learn the money language. No one is born knowing money language. No one. I hear especially when go tiro mo tla ba go are a ke reke koloi o e rekile yang ka sekoloto o boro te ke go tlhola na ranga e qualify wa tlo go tsetse o kgetlhulwe ke ntse ke go tlhola because you had it has triggered your action. Wa go tlhola no ne ke a ga ntlo ka tla ro tlo go e bona Brian ga no mona mo di status because mantse ba di tsamaetse o ga gile ntlo ke kwa ke tlo go e bona o ya gile ne mana no ke tsena ga ke ma ba banka ne le high present that
look at God
ena ba go tsa lo na ba nya ba go ita o reka koloi go no go ka nte ha o itse o hilwe ke batsadi wena tlo bo itsa ba go tsa loan from there o simutsa ka net pay ya 15,000 go tswa go tsa loan wa ga ntlo go gae mo go ba re le kgalema lenyatso I have no one guy who was used to work in a mine. So kwa ga bone they having this hut in one room. So he was working there every now and then. Got the holiday ke tlo ba mo shaela mana ba go mine me a go supisepe. So it came a time ba batla go tlogela mine. So at the mine of course they earn a lot. So the pension di go godimo. So they gave him that money close to 2 million. Aba ga jarata go ne le 40 by 40 are o make sure gore ha le boteng is a meter from ko le boteng o ntse tla la jarata you clear like khoro ya koloi kuru tsena mo garage mo botsa o pheke jarate o tlo tlatsa jarate ile tota. I think it was like 38 by 38 something like it was in a room ze 8 mo teng aba ya ga kandira bogomo ya ga ka maikutlo. He didn't do a bill of quantity, he didn't plan go simola ga foundation e be mo ita tlhatlhosa e rulela no even in fact ga e rulela abare o kokotletsa roofing ante madi a ba hella mo
and ya tura roofing.
And this thing has been there since 2010 go mbeno ha di direction go ga nne go hela kwa go hela ho that guy o retireile ga ana madi because ona a grantse le mo khakhala o batla go khalema lenyatso ya no tshwetso is not inspired by the aim just to invest ke go khalema lenyatso lona be le mo khalemela le lona go a ro eme ho ya no mpeno ho e tletse jarata o kile re wa e rekisa jarata go mara go atla tsantlo jarata yo tlhana ena na ro tlatse kore even planning hela go padile and so tse dintsiane di a re diragalela most of the time. As we actually, one of our guests here, we are during our question and answer. Or you go to a bank, you are looking for 200,000. The man or the lady behind where you qualify. And the way to qualify doesn't mean you afford. Can you be able to afford, you qualify for 200,000? Well, I know about 100,000. They can qualify for 300,000. And you don't know by so doing, interest is going to increase. The monthly installment is going to increase. You know about 2.5, I'm be fine. 5,000 I can survive. Yeah, no how 3.8, which is close to 4,000. Like a 2.2. In this time and age, will you survive with that? You are calling yourself after that you will never go out of debt until you retire. And then by that time you have nothing to show home, you have nothing to write home about. So the couple need to come into place to agree and discuss their financial, because we have made it a myth that to some extent that the husband doesn't know how much the wife is in, a wife doesn't know how much the husband is in. It's so pathetic that we find that.
Yeah, it's a problem. In a marriage,
I'm telling you, others even have secret accounts that they have separately, and then that is why we have what we call financial infidelity, cheating with money. You building property that your partner doesn't know because you've never said that. Because I always tell people, guys, getting married is a wealth creation union. If I'm earning 15,000, you're earning 20,000 as my spouse. I 35,000. I didn't have 35,000 one, but because I have 35,000. Now I can qualify for 700,000. You can qualify for 1.2. I get 1.2 million. Let's say we have 1.9 million. We can build a 3 mattresses or 2 there. 1 million, 1 million, and then we make sure that you do because I'm idea my quotas, but because create the wealth. So this thing of couples not coming together to speak about money should come to an end. If better do for consult, let's sit down. If there is a need for me to see them one-on-one, I will do that. This is what you call a personality test. What type of person are you? Are you choleric? Are you pragmatic? What
are you sanguine? Are you melancholic?
Until you know yourself in that regard, you won't be able to. And there's another book by Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
There's people who like gifts. There are people who like that. Nagibatla quality time here. Nagibatla mo ntekela ndi gift. Nagibatla mo le physical touch. Nagirata what's the other
words
one?
Of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. Now, if you don't know that I like gifts, and now you don't spend the gift. I was spend now because I'm fulfilling you. I'm actually trying to communicate my love language to you. I'm spending to you, and you don't feed it by doing that. Because you're trying to fulfill the void that your partner is not bringing. So there is a lot of factors that are playing from your love language to your personality as an individual. Depressed. Now I told my father, why? It's a hey, I know that I will spend you know, so no, when I had a little do how anything that will happen from our investment. So by so doing,
but at least you understand each other.
You are
That's
not
the goal.
killing them. You are not suppressing them. You are giving them a platform with a limit to say, let's work hard to support this limit by so doing. So because you have set a limit, so this is our investment. If we reach here, we increase this. So we work hard to achieve that one. We work hard to achieve that one until we agree to say, look, now let's get into this one. So once we meet, no, when I'm your monthly spend is 5,000 pula for us to reach 10,000, let's build 2 mattresses. Clearly, they build our road and 10,000. So there's a goal to fulfill, so that you can be also fulfilled. So how long modi couple and candidate la gore ndi a kgaogana o motla ba simolla go hitla a re kana ka go spenda madi thata kana ke simolla go hitla magere mme o spenda madi e be ke hitla mang you sort of simolla ga because we didn't understand our personality, we didn't understand our goal, we didn't understand where we are coming from, and the language is spoken to us about money gore motho a ntla wa re se goal tsena re se siame kana ha sa siame motho a ntla wa re go save le a re no go siame kana go a siame ke mana go bolela ka insurance na re relay ya re insurance e ja batho o mongwe tomorrow insurance e confused. You get what I mean? So we have this, everyone is teaching us about money. If we don't teach our kids about money, the world will teach them.
I've always believed that one of the greatest challenges that we have is how we have framed our lifestyles.
Right.
You see, I can teach you about money, you can learn about money. You don't change your lifestyle, it still becomes difficult. So when you look at this other communities like your Jews and stuff, those guys are very deliberate about how they live their lives. From the time go tsena sekolo ha ba simolla go bereka kuri ditsela tsa bone hela tsa go tshela, from work it's your family, you go home, from home is the business. So where do you get to splash money? You know, the environment, the lifestyle, right? When you look at our people, right? You go to work in the morning. From work, you visit a friend. From a friend, maybe you go to a restaurant, you go to the mall, and then from there you go home. So when you look at the daily routine, you can easily spend $1,000. If you can actually afford that, right? Or you can spend 100, depending on your level, right? Because of how you move. And then a weekend day, it's somebody calling you for a braai that you did not plan for. So you have to go there. and how we let teng gore ke lo di drinking and di few di to go shorta or khalwa. So how similar khala gore gore le wena o tsena hale wa go reka, but you did not plan for this, right? But these are people by long gore, when you look at them, they're just living normal lives. It's a normal life, right? And then khodi hela or maybe ha gongwe every other fortnight go iwa go gae. O tsenya o tsela fuele, you are going home. The thinking ke gore we love our parents so much, we have to check on them. But in gore we just don't have discipline. Right? You don't need to be checking on your parents every other 2 weeks. Right? Look on about 300, 400 kilometers away, because it's a lot of money that you are spending. We don't have good habits. Tse leng gore re ka di sala morago tse di ka re thusang gore re iphitlhelele gore ga ra tshamekisa madi, right? So when you start adjusting your life to a certain routine that helps you to grow, wena, right? Let's say maybe your plan ke gore you want to be the best podcaster,
of course,
in Africa in the world, right?
In the world.
Yeah. Then what you do then, you have to study other podcasters. It has to be your obsession. So bu Friday, when you are busy watching a podcast somewhere, you have to be sober, you are going to be home. If there's anything that you are going to spend on, maybe it can be food, while you are looking at that. And then you are going to be studying equipment, all of these things are going to consume you. You see, that consumption era or now, instead of being out and spending, we spoke about a verpark until when we think we are growing, when we are actually going back, right? Right? Real growth, personal development, that is the growth that pays. Right? So if we can obsess on personal development, because when there are so many things, so many ways, discipline. Na I know I spend. Right? I've got plenty kids, so right? So how do I fight all of these urges, right? I make sure there's something that actually consumes a lot of my time. Right? And that thing would be reading. It would be trying to study things and look at YouTube videos and stuff like that, right? So my routine is very simple.
So it's productive consumption.
It's productive consumption, right? So by the time I'm done with those things, I really want to go home. I really want to go home. Because I'm probably going to come out right? So and then the weekends most of them are we have scheduled meetings, we have scheduled trainings, we have scheduled workshops and stuff like that, right? So it's like that. You look at the Jews, because they're trained to take over the parents' businesses and stuff like that when they're still very young, right? So by the time a teenager, they already know you go to school, from school you go to the business, from the business you go home. They have mastered the routine. So this becomes their life, right? So making money is not something that is going to alter how they move. It only improves the things that they already have, right? Their education, it improves their homes, right? It improves their businesses. That is where money is going. And then when you look at our money, where does it go? And then they got him to the money so that the money can grow. They start improving things. You see, that is the biggest problem that we are facing. We are not focused generally. I mean, this other nationals ga tsamaya bana di family tsa bone gongwe monna le mosadi ba tsamaya ba tshwaragana ka matsogwana mo di mmolong, right? Look at them haletalele bagane. They're not looking at you. Maybe they can and then ba leba kwa ba go heta, right? Ha ba sona ba heta 10 abo ba leba, hoping what they will turn back. They won't. They're going straight to their car. They're going straight home. You know what you do? Momolo tsamaya re dukologa o tsamaya kore ga o ka calculator o dukologile ga kae o le mo mmolo o mo thomile matho ga sona heta ko wena yo gape o thana le ene o ithelela ya go tsamaya you are not focused right gantsi ga o dira yalo o supa gone gore ga o ka kopana le mongwe ba gore a re what are you doing o to mo raya gore no a ke na plan a re tsore go bokeng right you can't keep money if you do that you can't keep money you can't grow right batho ba bana le madi a mantsi they've got routines I mean go motho go le kae to get access to a billionaire it's not easy because they have a program bana le plan ya gore okay calendar is strict ka dikana ke go bokete ke dira se ha ke hetsa ke dira se ha ke hetsa ke dira se when they find nako e go teng ga ba dire sepe ga ba go twa go they're not meeting anyone or they're not doing anything hectic but it could be time for their studies ga se gore ke nako e free right but how ka bona mongwe le mwana le access to you have a big problem money is not a thing that you can really keep money will keep on moving because when people come to you o gakologo le se every time when motho a go kopa seng koporo e go ndropa go bokete when you say yes you know what you just did you have transferred their problems to you now they can relax now the planning comes to you you have to fuel your car o tshwanna ke gore o plan gore wa go tsa rutehe gore we go tsena go gwena now it's your problem ene kwa le ntenyano o ka robala for another 30 minutes because why it's la go kopana in the next 30 minutes every time when you say yes to a request o ntsha stress mo mothung o na kopa o sitisa go gwena so we need to be careful about the number of yeses that we say right if the yes is not something that builds you something that helps you to grow then it becomes a big problem you can't keep money because batho ba bangwe ba ileng gore they are broke I mean you look at a lot of people who are broke and I've seen a lot of people who are broke ba ileng gore they're just good people they're not reckless and reckless raya in terms of motho a teng ha ka go ha madi hela o ha ka tsama o reka dio tse ileng gore ha dina tlhaloganyo right but how are they losing their money they're always saying yes o ile go tsaya mosadi mogolo ko phalape gore a tiswe sepateleng you have a family of 7 and you are the only one who's always doing that why ba bangwe ba sa di right you are always saying yes ko ena ile gore wa go tsaya bana ko sekolong ba tsaya ba dropa ko ba boela ko tirong right you are losing money and you are losing time because you are losing the most two precious assets in your life because you are saying yes thinking you are being a good person.
So you're saying yes to them and saying no to yourself.
And saying no to yourself.
And your financial journey.
So you're absorbing everyone's problems. When you El Shaddai. When you say you are El Shaddai, you shall die.
So I wanted us to come to this point. I think we actually touched a bit on it during the break. I want you to demystify this for people. Financial security and financial freedom. How will you define those? Demystify it for us and just walk us through those.
I like your question because I was actually shooting content yesterday just trying to do that. So financial security and financial freedom, it's both key stages of wealth building because there are 3 stages to wealth building. The first stage is financial security, the second stage is financial freedom, the third stage is financial independence. So this is what financial freedom, financial security is. When you build financial security, your ultimate goal is to have enough passive income. It could be passive income, kind of portfolio income, enough to finance your most basic needs. Basic needs, we're looking at your food, your shelter, your transportation, your clothing, and even insurance. I say life insurance if you have dependents, because if you do have dependents, life insurance is a basic need. Definitely. So passive income, we're looking at, we know passive income. Like passive income, the money that you get from your investments without exerting any efforts after the initial work has been done. So, or portfolio income being money or the income that you get from investment in paper assets.
Basically money that's not tied to your time.
Yes. So financial security, first you need to define a figure. You need to look at your monthly living expenses, your basic needs. So once you know that figure, that's what you work towards achieving. That's financial security. Financial freedom, now we are moving it a step further, a little bit higher. We're saying, okay, ke achievile financial security, financial freedom. Now we're looking at your current lifestyle. Remember, financial security, we're talking basic living expenses, sort of like survival.
Yeah.
And then financial freedom, current lifestyle. You want to build enough passive income, kind of portfolio income to finance your monthly living expenses based on your current lifestyle. And then the third stage is financial independence. Financial independence, we're moving a step further again from financial freedom. Now we are looking at your desired, because you can have a current lifestyle, you can have a desired lifestyle. Now you are building enough passive income, kind of portfolio income to finance your desired lifestyle. You see that increase. In my case, my financial security number is 16,000. So with this 16,000 coming from my passive income, for me, my passive income is from my one rooms investments, my property investment. If I reach the 16,000, then that is adequate to cover my most basic living expenses. My financial freedom number is 30,000. This is now me working towards replacing that salary and I 30,000 because my lifestyle revolved around that salary.
Yes.
So once I reach 30,000 from my rentals, my one rooms or my any other investment activities, then ketabekele financially free. I can sleep the whole day and not do anything, knowing my current lifestyle, my current needs are taken care of. And then financial independence for me, I'm looking at monthly income of over 100,000. Then I would know that I can receive 100,000 from my one room, where that didn't pay 100,000 or any other investments. Then ketabekele financially independence because I'll be able to do whatever I want to do. So that is wealth. That is wealth building. Wealth building is not about having $1 million in your bank account. It's working on that number. Working on the number, passive income, kind of portfolio income. That's wealth.
Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Very well put. Now, there's a saying, not a saying, but a practice in the personal finance community where they talk about having money to cover your expenses. It's like an emergency fund.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Emergency fund is part of your financial security because if you are working on financial security, yes, you want to build the passive income, but you don't want how emergency. Everything's supposed to stop. You don't want your plans to be destabilized. This is why it's important for you to have that emergency fund so that how the emergency, you don't default to that are very expensive. Because remember, when emergency hits you, you need to respond immediately because if you don't respond immediately, the problem is going to balloon out of control. So this is why it's essential for you to have that emergency fund. It's something that I've shared now with my followers and I've told them my emergency fund, I'm looking at 60,000 that I need to achieve this year because 60,000 would be able to cover me at least for 3 months and something that I'm building. It's not like we're going to build once off and then from there we'll be taking it a step further, 120 emergency. You see, I'm defining it
for 6 months.
Stage. 120 now can cover me for 6 months. But when I started doing my emergency fund, because when I started my journey in terms of correcting my financial mistakes, I started with what I call a starter emergency fund, where I gave myself 3 months to put aside 10,000. So once I've achieved this 10,000, now all my other plans can continue. Even if I have an emergency, I'll draw from the 10,000. But my plans in terms of paying off my debts will not be destabilized.
Something that we call a debt to income ratio, right? Now that debt to income ratio must be a certain ratio. That's why they call it a ratio. In other words, it must not exceed X amount of your salary. When you are earning 6,000 as gross, but you end up going to the bank, what goes to the bank is 72 pula. You are already telling us that 95% of your money is now spent on debts. Now, if you are spending your money on debts, you are telling us you will not be able to save. You are telling us you will not be able to pay your insurances. You are telling us that you will not have the opportunity to invest, which is now where you now get to grow and build wealth. So you are telling us that you are not going to do that. The result of which is that you're going to be you're going to be milling in this, this hole, this black hole. So every month at 72 pula, you and I know the reality that you will never live off 72 pula. It's impossible. You need to pay rental, you need to, you come to work, you eat, you clothe yourself, and plus you need to insure, you need to save, you need to do, look at investment opportunities. So at that point in time, I would say that you would have then failed the first test. But we acknowledge now that you failed the first test. So now how do we help you to get out of it? There are several tools that you can use to get yourself out of it. There are multiple tools. Obviously, your 25 minutes today is not sufficient for us to dig deep into some of these tools that are available for us to get out of debt. The first thing is just to confront debt. You know how many people I've met in my entire life, professional life, that had not confronted their debts. People are milling. They have an idea of why they are milling in debt, but they don't know exactly why they are milling in debt, because they have not had the opportunity just to sit and confront the debt. And by confronting the debt, I simply mean that you are going to sit and say, Dineo, who do you owe? And you list them. 1, how much do I owe this person? What is the principal amount on this loan? What is the interest on this loan? How long is this loan for? Is this loan in arrears? Yes or no, right? So you need to have that truth with yourself in your own private space and say, okay, oops, I actually thought I owed 200,000. By the way, I owe 2 million. And that's the reality. And that's the reality people they find themselves in. During my time at the banks, you ask somebody, and I always made people to sit and say, okay, because normally what they will do is say, hey, Mas Alessandro, hey, can I have a problem? I have a debt here and there. And then the minute they start to say, I have a debt here and there, you ask them to sit down, right? And to say to them, please be truthful to yourself. I'm at the bank. I can give you the money as a banker, take another loan, but it's also not in my interest to continue to indebt you. So confront your debts. And it was always a shocking revelation to all of them, without exception. It's like, I never even realized this, this is how much I owe. Because until you have that realization, you will not be able to acknowledge the extent to which you are indebted and the extent to which, or the aggression that you then need to be able to get yourself out of debt.
Do you start with the smallest or the biggest? Or...
So there are various tools that you can use, basically. Sometimes for purposes of wanting to motivate yourself, now that you've gotten the realization, sometimes you may say, okay, let me start with the easier ones first, the small ones first, right? And you have to do what? You now build a budget. So that budget acknowledges that, okay, I owe 100,000 there. There's another 10,000. Let me start with this 10,000. But my goal, remember the thing that's going to make you act is the action. And you need to proclaim it. You need to write it down. My goal is to clear my first 10,000 Pula loan in the next 12 months. But it doesn't mean that your 100,000 Pula loan, you leave it. You then go back to your creditors where possible. One of the things that we normally encourage people to do is that you need to go to your creditors and say to my creditors, I've got a 100,000 Pula debt. I found myself in this position. I don't think I'll be able to support the repayments on this 100,000 plus my other living expenses. Can we restructure? Your creditors, including the banks, they will allow you to restructure the facilities, correct?
What does it mean to restructure?
So your restructure a facility simply means that where you had a loan, for instance, and this loan was 100,000, which was a loan for 2 years, and it was at interest rate 30% per annum. Restructuring the loan simply means that I'm going to my creditor, I'm going to say I'm unable to pay within 2 years. Please allow me to pay in 36 months or in 48 months. That's number one. 2, may I request that you reconsider the interest rate you are charging me also on the loan? Okay. Because then what that does...
You can do that.
You can. There are so many instruments that allows you to do a restructuring. Here's the trick. You always need to be truthful with your creditor. What I see and what my experience has been is the opposite. So when people owe, they run away from their debt, which doesn't help. The first thing you do is to run to the creditor and say, my creditor, here I am. It's possible you may have lost a job, for instance, right? So you've lost a job, or somehow your business did not go according to plan. You had this loan. Unfortunately, you are not able to pay this loan. You run to the creditor. The creditor can restructure for as long as you are truthful and you stick with what you have agreed on. Other options that you can look at is say, but some interests loans are high interests. So credit cards, for instance, can anybody take a wild guess how much an interest is on a credit card? Wild guess. Yeah, that is what you pay on a personal loan.
That's a personal loan.
Your credit card is almost hitting 40.
Yeah.
That's 40% per annum. That's your credit card. So every time you get that credit card, remember that as much as you are charged on usage, that 40% is huge.
40%?
40%. There are 37% and 39%. You see? That's where they are ranging. Yeah. So you then want to say to yourself, okay, let me also rather take the approach that these other ones, the ones that are high interest yielding, let me then consolidate them with the ones that are lower in interest, right? So you can say, okay, I'm going to take my credit card balance and then now amortize it into a personal loan so that I can pay this as a personal loan because my personal loan interest is much lower.
Can you please repeat that slowly? Slowly.
So you can do a debt consolidation.
Yes.
So with your debt consolidation, what you want to achieve with that is that you want to take your high interest rate products like your credit card and consolidate them into a lower interest rate product. For example, a personal loan.
How is that done?
So it's simply an application process. This loan is too much. The credit card balance is 20,000 pula. It's at 40,000 pula. I want to close it. It's a conversation you can have with your banker. I want to close my credit card. The balance, please consolidate it into my personal account so that I can continue to pay as a personal loan with the terms and the rates that personal loan versus the higher interest rates. This is more pronounced on micro-lending, by the way. Remember that on micro-lending, there are lenders that charge both 15%, 20% per month, correct? Per month. Annualize that. You are looking at 240%. You took a loan that is 1,000. Before you do anything with that loan, you already owe how much? That's already more than 20,000 you're owing from that 1,000 loan, right? So what you want to do with, people like that, you encourage them to close those, very expensive microlenders. Again, get back into your lower interest products, your personal loans that are more palatable, so that they are able to breathe, give them breathing space on their salary or on their income.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Deep Dive is dedicated to bringing you the most comprehensive and engaging information about business, personal finance, and personal development. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. If you liked this video, give it a like to show your support and help us reach a wider audience. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family who may be interested. Sharing helps us grow our community and connect with like-minded individuals. Leave a comment below and give us your biggest takeaway on this episode. If you're interested in being a part of our live studio audiences, make sure to register for the next show. Can't make it to the show? No problem. Check out our Patreon page to watch the full episode and get exclusive access. Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Deep Dive is dedicated to bringing you the most comprehensive and